Hi everyone! Today I'm going to talk to you about English contractions, and in particular, how, why, and when to use them. Before we get into today's topic, do me a favor and double check that you're subscribed to our channel. I wouldn't want you to miss out on any of our videos because we have so much great content about language learning. Done? Great. Now, you may have noticed that the native English speakers you hear in TV shows and movies don't speak in quite the same way that you and your non-native friends do. This is partly due to vocabulary, but it also has a lot to do with the use of contractions. Contractions in English are words that are made up of two other words, generally with an apostrophe somewhere in the middle. They join the two words and make your speech sound much more natural and less stiff. I'll give you an example. I do not think it is a good idea. You should not jump in the pool if you cannot swim. As a native speaker, I'd say, I don't think it's a good idea. You shouldn't jump in the pool if you can't swim. Do you notice the difference and how the second version flows much more naturally? Some other languages also have contractions, but generally these are mandatory, such as the contractions between prepositions and articles in most Romance languages. Almost all contractions in English are optional, except for the word o'clock. So in English, it is perfectly acceptable to use either it is or it's, and using one instead of the other does not change the meaning at all. The only thing that could change is the perceived register or tone of your speech or writing. As a general rule, you should try to avoid contractions in your writing, especially in formal contexts. But you should absolutely try to adopt the most common contractions into your oral expression. Some of the most commonly used contractions include, this contraction stands for it is, and it's one of the most common contractions. You don't need to worry about using this one in writing because it is so widely used. Next, I am, you are, he or she is, we are, and they are become I'm, you're, she's, he's, we're, and there. Next we have cannot, which becomes can't. This one in particular will make your speech sound much less formal and much more like a native. Do not and does not become don't and doesn't. I, you, he, she, we, and they would become I'd, you'd, she'd, he'd, we'd, and they'd. Now I have a few bonus contractions for you. First, going to becomes gonna, want to becomes wanna, and got to becomes gotta. You should definitely avoid these three in writing. As you feel more comfortable speaking English and you begin speaking a bit more quickly, these will likely appear naturally in your speech. And my second bonus for you is you all becomes y'all. This fun contraction is used primarily in the southern region of the United States as a way to refer to a group of people. You'll probably hear it in movies, TV shows, and songs, but think twice before adding it to your own vocabulary, especially if you've adopted a British English accent. As you might have noticed from these examples, Contractions are generally formed by dropping one or two letters from a word and replacing them with an apostrophe. If you can't remember where an apostrophe goes when writing, think about the two original words and which letters were dropped. That's where you'll stick your apostrophe. Contractions are super easy to form and super easy to use. It's just a matter of getting into the habit of using them. That's all for this short video. I'll see you again soon, and in the meantime, challenge yourself to use some of the contractions you learned in this video in your next conversation or casual email. If you learned something new from this video, give it a thumbs up. Then be sure to subscribe to our channel for more English language hacks. And as always, if you have any questions about English contractions, leave us a comment and we'll do our best to help. See you next time!